Good evening, welcome to ITV News. This is Monday night's calendar.
Yes, good evening. Here are tonight's main stories.
I'm live here on Marsden Moor, where firefighters from 9 local fire stations are currently trying to control this, the latest in a series of moorland wildfires.
Lucky to be alive, a woman who suffered lasting injuries at the hands of her former partner calls for longer sentences for domestic abusers.
I feel grateful that I'm here on this planet today. All I was thinking was, I can't say my last goodbyes to my children.
Nearly 2 years after being damaged by fire, the Billsdale mast in North Yorkshire starts transmitting again. Hello and thanks for joining us. First tonight, firefighters are tackling another large fire on Marsden Moor this evening. It's the 4th in just over a month and the 7th this year.
It broke out early today in the Wessendon Valley and fire crews from 9 local stations are there. Well, our reporter Fraser Maud is also there for us tonight. Fraser, what's the situation now?
Yeah, Tina, as you can see, the fire still well alight behind us, burning on just one front at the moment. It started at around 1:30 this afternoon near Butterley Reservoir, which is about a mile or so as the crow flies in that direction. The wind blowing this way at the moment. It's been a changeable wind though today, which caused the fire to split at one stage. It looks as though at the moment it's still just burning on one front, and it's burning over some land that's been previously burnt, which is slowing it down to some extent. No danger at the moment to life or property. Those are the main concerns of West Yorkshire Fire and Rescue Service, who have crews from 9 stations here at the moment. But of course there's concern for the environment here, for the ecosystems, a lot of ground nesting birds, short-eared owls in particular, which are very rare and which will come under threat from a loss of environment, loss of habitat in situations such as this. At the moment though, it looks as though the fire crews are managing to control it. They aren't too concerned about where it's heading at the moment. As I say, a lot of it is going over land previously burned.
Yeah, it's really sad to see those live pictures of the flames. And what's the advice for members of the public, Fraser, who might be heading up there over the coming days?
Yeah, the advice when the fire is underway like this and the fire crews need access on a lot of narrow roads and so on is to stay away from the area if you can. The general fire advice at times like this, where we've had a period of prolonged hot weather, very dry out here, make sure that you take care over discarded bottles, discarded cigarettes, and one main problem that is happening more and more is the incidence of disposable barbecues. And if you see anyone acting irresponsibly, then do contact the authorities.
OK, Fraser Maud, live at Marsden Moor with the latest. Thanks very much indeed.
Now, a woman who suffered life-changing injuries when her partner attacked her is calling for harsher sentences for domestic abusers. Mother of 2, Fallon Bramall, is still recovering from the assault that happened at her home in Dronfield last July.
Lee Hancock was jailed for 40 months after admitting 3 charges of making threats to kill, assault causing actual bodily harm and damaging property. But Fallon says jail terms should be longer. She's been speaking to Sally Simpson.
Locked me in my flat, held knives to my neck and bit my face. He broke my jaw, broke my nose, he broke my eye socket and beat me continuously on the floor.
10 months on from the attack at the hands of her then partner, Fallon is still living with the physical and mental scars of her ordeal.
I'm lucky to be alive, to be honest. I feel grateful that I'm here on this planet today. All I was thinking was, I can't say my last goodbyes to my children. That's what was going through my head.
Lee Hancock, a former cage fighter, pleaded guilty to making threats to kill, assault causing actual bodily harm and damaging property, and was sentenced to 3 years and 4 months in jail. Fallon says she's serving a life sentence as she battles anxiety and physical injuries and lives in fear of when Hancock is released.
I feel like if I were in a situation where my life were at risk, I think I wouldn't even bother ringing the police. That's how I feel. I feel disgusted. It's an absolute joke. That's why people go out there and reoffend, because they know they can get away with it. I'm trying to process it all, and I don't think I'll ever process it properly, knowing that it's going to be out in a short space of time.
The use of sentencing powers to deter offenders is something campaigners want to see more of.
We don't feel that domestic abuse cases are seen seriously enough and aren't sentenced as much as maybe a stranger attack might be. And it's a bigger breach of trust than that. Domestic abuse is inherent in society, and we really do need to send stronger messages out and send higher sentencing when there are really serious offences.
The Ministry of Justice, which sets sentencing guidelines, said tonight that ultimately it was a matter for the independent judiciary. The Judiciary Office, which protects and safeguards that independence, said judges clearly set out their reasons for the sentences passed in open court. Fallon says coming to terms with what happened to her is not easy.
It's hard. I could have lost my life and I had no kids. I just think the whole system's sickening.
Fallon Bramall speaking there to Sally Simpson.
Next tonight on Calendar, after nearly 2 years of damage, delays and debate, the new Billsdale transmitter mast in North Yorkshire has finally been switched on today.
Yes, the mast unexpectedly burst into flames in August 2021, leaving hundreds of thousands of people without TV or radio, some losing it for months.
A temporary mast was built, but today the final transmitter was put in place. Chris Jepson was there.
Signal testing at the new Billsdale mast, which today has gone live, providing around 670,000 viewers with a permanent TV signal again. It's taken the best part of 2 years to erect, following a fire in August 2021. The top of the mast is 3,000 metres above sea level, weighing 250 tonnes, and has been the biggest engineering project carried out by Arqiva. I asked the boss if the company's initial response had been acceptable.
We worked as hard as possible to get restoration of services to 98% of the population.
But was it acceptable? MPs were saying at the time it wasn't.
We put up 16 relay towers to provide services. We provided engineering support, so over 7,000 households had engineers visit them and give them that level of support. We managed 25,000 calls in terms of providing support.
The company says the fire was caused by water ingress to an electrical component, which begs the question, was the maintenance of the mast adequate?
It was a once in a lifetime type occurrence. We did a huge amount of work in terms of the investigation, in terms of the cause of the fire.
But was it good enough though, the maintenance?
Our maintenance regime is pretty robust, and actually we've shored it up even further to make sure that those types of occurrences are less likely to happen.
A costly 2 years for what the company says is a once in a lifetime event, and TV viewers will hope that they're right. Chris Jepson, ITV News, Billsdale.
Well, an important day for viewers there. If you are watching via that new transmitter, do stay with us because still to come.
3, 2, 1,
How a stroll in the moonlight has raised tens of millions for charity. We look back at 25 years of the moonwalk.
And blue skies, a bullfinch and catkins. What's more to love about this week's weather? It's favourable, that forecast over the next few days, and more of your fabulous photos a little later on.
Yes, we'll be joining Kerry very shortly. Next, though, I'm sure many of you will be planning a half-term getaway as schools break up later this week.
But with tens of thousands of us taking to the road, there's a warning that road rage is becoming an ever-growing problem.
Yes, the number of reported incidents has jumped by 2/3 in the last decade, and it's led to many of those who work on our roads being given body cameras for their own protection. Nick Smith reports.
There is something about being behind the wheel which sometimes brings out the worst in people, and tensions on the road can boil over into physical confrontation. Incidents of road rage are on the rise once again, and people we spoke to in Barnsley say it's something they see regularly.
Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, I was going to Athersley, and there's a crossroads at Athersley, and it's one road, not dual carriageway. And we were stood at lights, and this car just actually came and shot past me. So it had gone onto pavement to go straight through. That was quite scary.
I have, yeah. I've been cut up a few times as well. Do you know, not been my fault. Just pull it out, pull the anchors on and that, going berserk. So obviously I give him a pip, send him on the way, and that's it.
The patrol teams at national highways observe millions of drivers each and every day. But sadly, they are often the victims of road rage, like in this recent footage of a van clipping one of their vehicles by overtaking it on the central reservation. Officer Tony tells me it's sadly becoming a more common occurrence with impatient driver behaviour.
If they're held up, frustrations and tensions can rise, which can lead to tailgating and cutting in and out of traffic. We get people trying to break our rolling roadblocks. And again, we can understand the frustration. We've slowed them down and stopped them possibly, and they've got to be at meetings and they've got to be somewhere very important. But please bear with us, we are doing it for a reason.
Last year, National Highway staff added body cameras to their uniform.
If I go and sit back down, aware, I have absolutely. I'm sorry for swearing as well. I do apologise.
After suffering more than 200 incidents of abuse from members of the public. Officer Shan tells me she was recently physically assaulted by a driver during a highway closure.
There was a car that came up the hard shoulder, and obviously I won't let him past, at which point he's got out of his vehicle and he was trying to intimidate me. He screamed in my face and was pushing me back. My colleague pressed the emergency button on our radio and requested police, and police came and they dealt with him.
Personalities can dramatically shift when they're in the driving seat. So what can motorists do to keep calm while at the wheel?
Think about when you're doing this. If you're going to go out and hit peak rush hour traffic and you'll be sitting in traffic, it's more likely to make you feel that sense of agitation and stress that could lead to honking the horn or feeling stress and letting that build up. And also a bit of empathy for the other driver. We've all been there. We've all driven a bit slowly when we're lost and we're looking for an address. Thinking about what could it be for the other driver can help to diffuse that feeling of growing stress and anger.
And just that little bit of extra care and consideration can certainly contribute to a smoother journey. Nick Smith, ITV News.
And it's awful, isn't it? This Sian there and her colleagues are just trying to do their job and get that abuse levelled at them, you know, most days by the sound
I know,
of
and
it.
actually, when you think about it, Tina, they're putting their lives at risk, aren't they? Every day they go to work, when they're standing on those hard shoulders.
Yeah.
So to get all that abuse is just not on, is it, really?
Not. Have some patience, people. Now, the ITV Evening News continues at 6:30. Here's a look at what's happening with Mary Nightingale.
Coming up in the programme, 16 years on, a new search begins for Madeleine McCann. Authorities are to investigate a fresh site in Portugal in connection with her disappearance. Here, the PM consults his ethics advisor as the Home Secretary refutes claims she broke the ministerial code. Also, how to fight the latest wave of scams said to be bombarding consumers from every direction. And the Gurkha who's reached an historic peak. Do join me for those stories and much more at 6:30.
Now, a woman from Yorkshire who's twice been through breast cancer treatment joined thousands of others in a mass midnight walk at the weekend.
Julie Davis took part in the annual Moon Walk, an event first staged a quarter of a century ago. Since then, it's raised £139 million for breast cancer charities.
Now, many of those involved have personal and often inspirational reasons for taking part, as Kevin Ashford reports.
3, 2, 1,
Setting off to pound the pavements. For 2.5 decades, it's a scene that's been repeated many times as people have walked through the night to raise money for a breast cancer charity. Many of those taking part have direct experience of the disease. Julie Davies from Yorkshire has been treated for the disease twice, most recently last year.
Physically, it's going to be demanding.
Yes.
Say you come off the back of treatment.
Yes.
How are you feeling about it?
We're here, and that's the main thing. I've got to the start line, and I've got a daughter who said, I'll drag you across if I have to. And I'm just hoping the atmosphere, the adrenaline, the lovely people that I'm going to be walking with are going to get me over that finishing line.
This is the 25th anniversary of Moon Walk, and over the years, tens of thousands of people have walked through the night, raising millions of pounds for charity. And everyone who takes part is encouraged to dress as colourfully as possible.
Participants can choose to walk either a full or half marathon distance around the streets of London before finishing the following morning. Crossing the finishing line can be an emotional time for many, including the woman who founded the event.
Every single person has got a story,
And it's not always about cancer, it can be different things, but everybody's got a story. I always like to think that we're continually evolving with science, the needs of breast cancer, what should we put our money into. But I think the heart of Walk the Walk and the heart of the moonwalk is quite precious, and that will stay. So no matter what technology brings or changes we make, I think the heart will still stay the same.
It may be challenging for those taking part, but the results are impressive. Since Moonwalk began, more than £130 million has been raised. Kevin Ashford, ITV News.
Absolutely incredible achievement. All those millions of pounds raised for charity.
Well, it's something else to be taking part in something like that. It's fabulous. Well done to everybody.
What about a nighttime walk? Kerry, a nighttime walk? What do you think?
I like a nighttime walk. I really do. It's quite grounding. It's very peaceful. Especially under clearer skies.
And it is cooler on a night, but if we've seen today, it's been getting today warmer, and we saw those scenes at Marsden Moor as well.
Dry conditions, breezy conditions and hot conditions, not ideal for that situation in West Yorkshire at the moment. I've had a little look at our stats for the month so far, and actually we've only had 45% of rainfall over West Yorkshire, and we'd normally expect about 75% at this time in the month. For the whole of spring, actually a little bit wetter than average, but if you remember last week we only had showers. The week before it was the wrong kind of rain, if you can have the wrong kind of rain. The heavy and thundery downpours, very hit and miss. So yes, dry conditions, and it's going to stay dry for the week ahead predominantly. A few showers maybe, so that's not good. The good news, I suppose, with the situation at the moment over the tops of the Pennines is that those winds will gradually ease overnight tonight and through into tomorrow. But yes, it's going to stay warm as well as dry as well. The average is around 17. This week, I mean, today in Sheffield we got to 21, so by Wednesday we're expecting our warmest day. Wouldn't surprise me if we got a little higher than the 22, 23 Celsius, so that's definitely warmer than average, even at the coast where it's been a little bit cooler. And the lows, we've been talking about the clear spells overnight, the lows are around 7, but we could get in rural shelter down into those low single figures, so fresh and chilly starts. But with high pressure we get absolutely fantastic sunrise and sunsets. The particles in the lower atmosphere act as a little filter, so we bring out the reds and the oranges. So a big thank you to Peter Bradney for this one. Of course, we've got the dandelion clocks only at this time of the year, and also at this time of the year, the barley. It's absolutely beautiful. A big thank you to Ian Taggart for showing that. Keep them coming. Weather photos at itv.com. So yes, this week we've got high pressure in charge, so I want your fine weather photos. Even if there's a little bit of cloud around over the next few days, we'll get further shots like this. A big thank you to Gavin Sheesmith for this one of Rothwell Country Park, and that was today. Also this one at the weekend from Kerry Greenfield. A big thank you for sharing. Also this one, a big thank you to Jeff. That's a view and a half, isn't it? And last but no means least, Home Valley this morning from Di Bagliani. There you go.
Kerry, thank you very much. Looking good for the bank holiday weekend?
It's looking all right, you know. It's looking okay.
Excellent.
Great.
Fingers crossed.
Now then, finally, congratulations to a daredevil from Doncaster who's in contention for the live finals of Britain's Got Talent.
Yes, Anthony Turalvo left the judges barely able to watch as he climbed a giant stack of chairs balancing on just 4 glass bottles. The circus performer received a standing ovation from all 4 judges when he appeared on the show on Saturday night.
I love it. Simon Cowell can't even look, you know how tough Simon is. He just can't bring himself to watch.
How do you find out that you can even do something like that?
Absolutely no
Kerry
idea.
cannot balance chairs, but she can give a blooming good weather forecast.
Good visibility on the horizon. TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Hello again, some very settled weather to come over the next few days. Yes, a little bit of cloud around at times, very much like this afternoon in the west, but bright, if not sunny spells across many parts of the region over the next few days with high pressure in charge. So the emphasis on mostly dry conditions with some nice warm sunshine, but slightly cooler nights in rural spots under those clearer skies with light winds. So we had a lovely slice of sunshine to greet us for our patch first thing this morning, and then just this weakening front trying to sink its way south, bringing a little bit more cloud over the Pennines before continuing its journey southwards over the next few hours and basically leaving us with a mostly dry night, largely clear skies and light winds, and therefore temperatures in the towns and cities around 8 to 10, but certainly a good few degrees cooler than that in very well sheltered spots. So a fresh enough start as we head into tomorrow. 4:53 and 9:14 are sometimes for Tuesday. Another nice day tomorrow. There will be some cloud coming and going, and it could bubble up for the middle part of the day. day into the early part of the afternoon, but we're mostly dry, and in the sunny spells, not too bad, 18 or 19. Very outside chance of catching a shower tomorrow, and just lighter sea breezes, so not feeling too bad at the coast either, 14 or 15. As we head into the middle part of the week, we think that's going to be our warmest day. A good dose of sunshine, inland 21, 22 Celsius, 14 to 16 directly at the coast with just light sea breezes, and that pretty much sets the scene for the next few days. Yes, cool nights in shelter, mostly dry conditions, winds fairly light, maybe a bit more cloud, especially up towards the east maybe on Thursday, but even for the weekend ahead, mostly dry with some sunshine.
TUI sponsors ITV Yorkshire Weather.
Hello, summer. Piri sponsors ITV Pollen Count.
The grass pollen forecast from the Met Office is actually at low over the next few days, but there's a little bit of oak pollen still in there and early grasses, and some of you will notice it, so I've popped a moderate on there too. Take care. So there you go. For most of us, this week's weather, a bit of a tonic continuing, yeah.
It is a tonic, isn't it? Because everybody seems happier. Just
makes you feel a bit better, doesn't it?
Yeah, and nice, warm, bright evenings too, which is nice. That's all for now. Join us again tomorrow at 6. I'll see you for the late news after news at 10. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye.